both these options, the SaaS-based offering as well as the on-premise offering. Right. API security. I want to quickly touch upon these. Right. OAuth. Right. This is something which is going to be very very popular. I'm so sorry. This is going to be a very popular discussion within the API economy and the organization as such. When you look at the different means of securing information, right? One is OAuth, right? This is a protocol, a security protocol that enables users to allow web applications to access other web applications on their users' behalf. Let's say you are on, let's say you're on TechGig.com, right? And TechGig.com gives you an option to import your profile information from LinkedIn, right? But does that mean that you will give your LinkedIn user ID and password to TechGig.com? Probably not, right? You're going to be authorizing TechGig.com to actually access your LinkedIn profile using a token, and I'm going to explain to you about that in a while. So this is very popular. I'm sure you've seen screens that do this thing. We probably may not have known what it is, which is basically OAuth. Basic auth, as I said, is the traditional way of getting things done. It uses the username and password in the request. It's defined as a HTTP specification. Now, mind you, you have to be on some kind of a secure socket layer to actually exchange information using this particular, because it's in the clear, right? So it mandates that you use the SSL protocol when you're using basic auth. Now, API keys, as I said, API keys are basically nothing but your identity that is provided to you by the API provider, right? I give you an example of the API key and secret that I had from everytrail.com. But again, this is really not based on any standard. It could be the way the provider provides, right? It's a very provider-specific implementation. And when you adopt the API, you also have to adopt the security policies that it mandates, right? Keys they basically act like signatures. The backend service API provider knows that the request has come from an application that you have written and you have used with the API key that was provided to you, right? As I said, OAuth 2.0 is basically an authorization framework that kind of does the orchestration between two web applications, right? Here, for lack of a better example, if you're on Foursquare and if you want to access information, if you want to post something on your Twitter profile, right? What Twitter gives back to Foursquare is an access token, right? Of course, it's a very elaborate process. Understanding OAuth means that you have to invest some time to understand how exactly the OAuth 2.0 dance happens. But from a layman point of view, it's basically kind of giving someone an approval to go access your resources without having to give your user ID and password. Instead of that, you're given a token which lives for a certain amount of time. Security mechanisms, API keys, as I said, this is basically a code passed by the web applications. It establishes the identity of the calling program. It is used to track, monitor, control, and prevent abuse. So let's say if the API provider knows that you're abusing one particular API, probably giving it a hard time in terms of the number of requests. So you can be kind of blocked from using that API, right? I gave a simple example of how APIs are protected. If you see, EveryTrail API, I showed you the user's API, some trips information, right? And it was basically when you saw the login ID and the password, dialog, That's basically how EveryTrail protected the information that it had. It required the person to be a registered user on Web API, on EveryTrail API, and then use the password, use the user ID and password that was, or rather, app ID and secret that was provided to you when you logged in. All right. The who's who. I just wanted to give you a clear idea of